In this video, I will provide you with two things. One, the reason why you don't see these patios built very often. And the second will be the basic framing that you can use to build a patio roof cover underneath your existing fascia board or roof overhang if you have a roof overhang. And the first thing you will need to do will be to leave enough room if you are going to be running the roofing materials underneath the existing roof framing. And of course, the reason why I'm not going to walk you through the process is because I have a couple of other videos that are already made that do walk you through the process. And I will put a link to them somewhere in the video or in the video description of the video on YouTube. And you can see here how the blocks will be running. Usually run them on one side of the beam to provide plenty of room for bird nests in here. And of course, I'm just kidding there. However, if you do not want birds in this area, then you might want to double block it. A view from underneath, and you could always have the beam run a little further out to pick up the fascia board or connect to the fascia board. And again, you can see that in the other videos. So basically standard roof framing for something like this. And you could always bring the fascia board in if you wanted to, especially if you don't like the way it looks at the other end, or in other words, if you don't want it to be sticking out here. And I went ahead and cantilevered the ledger out so that I could pick up the weight of the fascia board. And I really don't think I'm going to need any outlookers here. However, I'll leave that up to you. And you can simply miter this corner to make it look nicer. And we will be using hangers and lag screws to connect everything together. And of course, I will leave the sizes of the lag screws and the hangers up to you or your engineer. However, in this example, we are using 2x6 hangers and 3/8 by 4-inch lag screws with washers there. And make sure that the lag screws are centered on the framing studs, if at all possible. Now keep in mind that if you're off just a little bit, you're going to miss the stud and end up with something like this, or worse, something like this. And another thing you need to be aware of is that you're probably going to be putting your ledger over the exterior stucco or siding, and you won't be able to see any electrical wires or plumbing. And this doesn't mean that you won't hit them every once in a while, because this has actually happened to me once, and hopefully it doesn't happen again. I hit an electrical wire because I was using longer lag bolts. And you can see here, if you're going to be going through an 1.5-inch ledger and 1 inch of stucco, then you're going to need a bolt at least 4.5 or 5 inches long. And you can go a little longer if you know for a fact that you have 2x6 wall framing studs or larger. And even though I didn't run the lags all the way through, I usually have 2 at the end and then stagger them 16 inches on center if possible. And for those of you who don't know what staggering is, that means you're going to have 1 in the lower section, and then the next one will be located in the upper section, and then the next one in the lower section, and then work your way down the ledger. And keep in mind that you will need to check with your local building department also to verify whether or not you can actually attach a patio like this to the exterior of your home, and all of the details that might be required to do that. And now for the biggest problem you are going to encounter when you build a patio like this onto a house that might have 8-foot ceilings with the top of the windows located at about 7 feet and possibly a 2-foot overhang with a 4 or 5 and 12 roof pitch in a single-story house. And that's going to be the headroom clearance between the top of the patio slab and the bottom of the beam. And this is only the first problem. The second problem is going to be all of your doors and windows and whether or not they are going to be located low enough to where the ledger will not be blocking them in any way. And of course, something like this might not look very nice. However, you might be allowed to do it if you're not going to be blocking off any fire egresses or any fire escape routes through any doors and windows, or any other problems you might end up with your local building codes. And of course, that is the main reason why you're not going to see very many many of these patios built. However, I thought I would make a video to point out some of the reasons why, for those of you who are thinking, hey, I'm going to take the easiest path possible so that I don't have to worry about doing a lot of extra roofing or worrying about any roofing leaks by building my patio on top of the wall framing instead of using a ledger.